Okay, good morning, everyone in the 5 continents. It's 9:32 in Peru, in Colombia, and in Ecuador. Thank you, everyone, for being present with this extraordinary professional from Colombia, Ulises Cordova. Thank you so much, Ulises, for giving us part of your time on a Sunday morning. And welcome.
No.
Yeah. Ulises.
No, thank you for having me, and thank you for the invitation. You know, it's been a pleasure, just sharing.
And look how many people. I don't know any of these people here in the Zoom meeting tonight, this morning. Rafael, Maria Teresa, Consuelo, Jackson, hello, Paula, Carolina, hi, Carolina, Isabel, Darwin Perea, Maria Teresa, Stephanie, Juan Carlos Pereira, hello, Juan Carlos. Lots of your fans, I suppose, students or colleagues. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know who they are. Okay, as usual, let me share my screen with some information about this presentation this morning. One moment, please. It usually takes a few seconds. Wait. Where are you from, Paula?
I'm from Córdoba, Miraclavero, in Argentina.
Welcome, dear Paula.
A pleasure to be here.
Maria Teresa in Bolivia. Hello, Maria Teresa. Welcome. We can hear you, Maria Teresa.
Sorry, as usual, I always forget to click on the mic.
Don't worry.
Good morning, everybody. It's nice to be here
Good
sharing all the activities that you present, Jaime, and having this opportunity is great for me. Thank you.
No, thank you so much. And thank you, Rafael, Jackson, Consuelo, and all the students or teachers we have this morning. Give me a few seconds because it's taking some time. I don't know why. Okay. Okay, just a minute, please. As we say, a Peruvian minute, which means longer than the real minute. Just a minute, please, Ulises.
Don't worry.
Well, I do worry because it's taking too long. One moment, please, everyone. Raj, could you help me with 1 or 2 questions for Ulises? Meanwhile, I get this to be published.
Question I have is maybe we can share what you're going to speak about.
Are you questioning me now?
No, I'm not questioning you. I'm just saying maybe you can mention something about your topic while we wait for the PowerPoint.
Okay. Okay, so as I already mentioned, I'm from Colombia, and I'm originally from a department here in Colombia that is called Choco. It is most of the population are Afro-Colombian, 99%. Yeah, so it is a very diverse town with full of people, and we have a very nice oral culture. Mainly, it's not written. Most is related to oral, so the way we dance, the way we sing, we got chirimia, we have different, folklore rhymes here in our town. But I am not from the capital city, as already mentioned. I'm from a small area of the department that is called Bohaya. It is well known because of a disaster that occurred there. It was like 20 years ago. 117 people died in a bomb attack. But hopefully, now we are recovering from that. That's called Bellavista, is the capital of the municipality. It is where most of the inhabitants live. I am from a small river that is called Pichicora. It is far across the distance, as the song says, you know, it is very far from the capital city. It takes like 16 or 18 hours to get there, depending on where or which means of transportation you take. And I was living there till I was 8 years old. Then my mom moved to the capital city, and I usually visited that place, every year. I was visiting my grandpa, my granny, and all, the family members that they still live there. I was educated among indigenous community, I was, yeah, because it was, we call here caserio. It was a small village, like it is called in, like say the translation.
Irma is nodding, so Irma relates to what you're saying.
Yeah.
I can easily relate to that because we do have caseríos here in Ecuador too.
Okay.
Good morning, all, by the way.
Good morning. And then when I was 8 years old, then my mom moved to the capital city. And there I started my journey, my education journey. I studied at a school that was called, they have a pedagogical model that is Escuela Nueva, new school. I don't know if you have heard about it, which is mostly autonomous learning. We were receiving some handouts, and then we were asked to organize different activities and exercises in order to complete the school year. It was mostly rural education that I was taking by that time, because I was living in a small region, in a small area of the town. Then I started the university. I remember how I started, because I was just walking around the university when I saw a poster and they say registration open. And I said, wow, my goodness, I could be part of the university. Then I talked to my mom, and my mom said, "Hey, Lisa, the registration is like $30 in order just for you to realize how much it was by that time." It was January. It was in January of the year 2004. I started university the same year. I graduated from my under program in 2009. And then because of lack of working opportunities in our region, because like I said before, the region is really small, then job opportunities are not, available. I decided to move to another Colombian department that is called Huila. There in Huila, I started studying my master in English, didactics of English. And I did my master thesis on enhancing, which is risk-taking, because when I got the school, students were reluctant to speak.
Jaime is back. Sorry to interrupt you. Jaime is back, but I can appreciate how well you remember all your history. You remember your history so well.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, President of our Teachers Association. Thank you so much. I'm so sorry. This usually happens, Ulises, when we have very important guests. I don't know who is doing this, what country is doing this. Okay, welcome everyone, as I was saying a few seconds ago, to our international English meetings online, please. Somebody who wants to read this quote, Raj, Irma, Ulises, and say something.
The beautiful thing about learning is nobody can take it away from you. Yeah, every time is a new opportunity to learn, and we have to just keep our hearts and minds open.
Just like this beautiful moment, right, Irma?
Yes, I agree. The next one, there are no secrets to success. It is the result of preparation, hard work, and learning from failure. Oh yeah, that is so true. And it's one of the principles for teaching, because you are supposed to be trying with the students something that you think is going to work, and maybe it's not going to work, and then you need to try it again. So it's, try and repeat and practice and experience and reflect on that, which is something that lead us to success. Thank you.
That was a very deep reflection. Paula in Argentina, give me a hand, please.
Change is the end result of all true learning, by Leo Buscaglia. Yes, I really believe that without change, there is no possibility of learning.
Right.
Through failure, through changing, through everything.
Yes.
You learn every day, every step of the way.
They say that we even learn at the moment we are dying.
Definitely.
Yes.
Okay, all the meetings are recorded in Jaime and Kajima Teacher Training YouTube channel. So if you want to watch them, learn from the other people, remember some people, here you can find them. Okay, who are our next speakers? On Sunday, the 12th September, we will have Irma from Ecuador. She will be talking about playing with words. Then Tania Cajamarca from Ecuador, she will be talking about effective tools to promote reading in the classroom. Then we will have our 5th roundtable with coordinators and directors of lengua inglesa programs in different universities. Mercilinda Ortiz from Guatemala, from Universidad Mariano Galvez. Andrea Scanetti from Argentina, from Universidad Nacional de Hurlingham. Maria Teresa, who is present here, Terán from Bolivia, from Universidad Mayor Pacensis Divi. Andrea, is that okay, Maria Teresa?
It's Universidad Mayor de San Andrés.
Thank you so much
for University of La Paz.
Okay, thank you so much. And also Gladys Arias from Colombia, from Universidad Santo Tomás, José Obando from Ecuador, from Universidad Técnica del Norte, and Marco Aparicio from the beautiful Benemérita Universidad Autónoma de Puebla from Mexico. And José Lobo from Colombia will be talking about communicative competence. And our good friend from Peru, Roxana, hello Roxy, she will be talking about, is mindset more important than techniques? And she will be answering that question. And today, today we have a very, very good friend from Colombia, Ulises Córdoba Zúñiga. Okay, let me say a few words about him. He has been an EFL teacher, researcher at different contexts in Colombia. He holds a PhD in education, Universidad Tecnológica de Pereira, a master in didactics of English, University of Caldas, and a bachelor degree in English and French. Oh, vous parlez français aussi. Universidad, bonjour, bonjour. From Universidad Tecnológica de Choco. He has more than 12 years of experience. Oh my God, in only 12 years, you got all of that, my goodness. In teaching, learning English in the diverse contexts. His research interests include EFL methodology, TBLT, creativity and pedagogical innovation, and collaborative EFL teaching and learning processes. He's passionate about dancing, teaching, research, as practices that allow the systematization of professional development. Sorry, I added that comment. He's a great dancer. You should see Ulises dancing. He has presented in numerous academic scientific events such as conferences, symposiums, seminars, and congresses. He has published 2 books, Creatividad Colectiva, Un Paraíso por Descubrir en el Plano Educativo, and Enhancing Meaningful Teaching and Learning Process through Conducting Research. He has also published some articles related to TBLT. And also, my goodness, lots of things to mention here. And the last one was developing EFL language skills through implementing integrated tasks in an English as a foreign language teaching context. So thank you so much, my dear Ulises. Thank you for giving us part of your time on a Sunday morning, and the screen is yours. And welcome to everyone here in the Zoom audience.
Okay, good morning for all of you. Thank you for having me, dear friend Jaime and Kahima from Peru. I remember how we met. It was almost 8 years from now. And
Yeah.
thank you to all the participants. I know on papers it says much more than what I what I am, because today this is not a conference. This is a talk among colleagues that
Maria.
yeah, we will discuss about different areas on how Rafael, your microphone is on.
Thank you so much, Ulises. Please switch off your microphones. Thanks.
Okay, and what I was saying is, this is a conversation among a group of people, professional, that are worried about how to enhance better English teaching and learning processes at different, countries in Latin America and around the globe as well. What I mostly will talk about is my position about TBLT and how I have integrated, and I will provide some suggestions on how you maybe can integrate this methodology into your teaching profile. I won't say this is the last paramount model of teaching. This is another one you can use whenever you want it in order to enrich all your pedagogical key, and also it could offer new alternatives to foster language teaching and learning in a different way. So because of the time, let's get started. And I will say, this is my presentation, and I normally use this presentation with the hands up, the colors, and all, because that's the diversity of a region like Latin America, where we are all of us happy, and also we enjoy what we do, despite of the fact all the problem that we may have, and that's why I got this. Before I talk about any of the areas, I would like to highlight what the title of the presentation is, which is Exploring TBLT, or Text-Based Language Teaching to Enhance Authentic EFL Learning Opportunities. As I already mentioned, my name is Ulises Cordova Zuniga, and that's my mail. In case you have a lot of recommendations, insights you want to share, and I got also my social medias here. And you can also type to me on WhatsApp. I have no problem. I can, maybe it's gonna be late the day I reply, but I promise I will do it, As I already said to my dear friend Jaime and Kahima, I'm living now in Medellin. Then let's talk a little bit about what I will highlight during the presentation. Number one, I would like to start by discussing an overview about what you have understood and what you consider about TBLTS and how you have incorporated, if you have incorporated or integrated to your teaching and learning profile as well. Soon after, I will go over and tell you about what authors said about TBLT, and we'll show you some models of TBLT so that we can compare which one is fitting my context and which one is not accepting to what I consider teaching as. Then I would not define and not provide explanation about what a task is, but also we are going to clarify what a task is, because a lot of teachers are asking me, hey, writing 100 sentences, that's a task. And I'm saying, well, it depends on what you believe a task is. And today, so we are going to discuss about it. Again, we will discuss about what are the main components or the features of a task and how we consider we can refine it. Soon after, we will talk about the potential benefits of TBLT and what the challenges are, because there are many challenges for the teachers, for the students, for the particular area where this methodology will be implemented, and also for the materials we use, and related to the exercises is changing the dynamic of teaching. After we discuss about it, and then I will give you like areas on how I implement TBLT and how would you or could you implement it. And finally, we will have come out with final thoughts about the presentation. So, dear Kahima, it's time to start, and we are starting now. As I already said it, I don't know, every time we will start at the interview, the internet is kind of unstable, you know? So, but let's start with the overview. Here, I call this session Hearing Voices, because I need to hear you. I need to listen to what you need to say, and this is the space for saying, and this is the space in where you will be listened. Before I start asking questions, let me position my pedagogical belief or credo. I am one teacher who believes that teaching and learning should be a democratic process. As you know, our mentor in Latin America about said one day, later on I will highlight his name because it's very important what I am doing now. Then, based on that, every comment, every position is welcome. No one has power over another. Then let's listen to our voices. Well, okay, let's start, dear Jaime and Kahima, by asking the attendees what they consider type TBLT is, or what is task-based language teaching. So you can start asking someone or volunteers to just comment about this question.
Anybody, please, in the audience who wants to answer Ulises' question?
I can try to answer something, even though it's not going to be perfect, but task-based for me, it sounds like an activity with a goal, learning goal for the student and a learning goal for the teacher, and a result that you can assess, that you can, which help you to confirm that your goal has been achieved. That's what I think.
Thank you. Anyone else? Roxy?
Yes, to complement, good morning. To complement what Irma has said, I would say that it's an inductive way of teaching. I mean, starting for an activity in which you can have probably the grammar involved, or the vocabulary that you're expecting to teach, and then go through this, like discovering the grammar or discovering the vocabulary and starting teaching, more than giving the structure directly. That's what I understood from this.
Okay, Ulises, satisfied?
No problem.
All right.
Yeah, you remember what I was saying at the beginning, you know?
Raj wants to say something else.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think both Irma and Roxana are offering something. Task-based to me it's learning by doing, not just by listening to somebody, but actually trying it out and doing it. You have some task at hand that you're going to do, not just be listening to the teacher. So that's my addition.
Yes, Ulysses, and also I would like to add something more about what you have said. That is, it is a process in which students become conscious about what they are doing. I think that maybe conscious is a good complement or condition in the process of tasks.
Thank you so much, Juan Carlos. So back to you, Ulises.
Okay, so later on we will discuss deeply about it, but you are on the way, because you're saying it has a learning goal. Yes, the learning goal But I don't want to overemphasize about it, but you were right with all you were saying. You were saying is learning goal and activity, inductive way of teaching, discovering. It is not focused on structure, rather is focused on learning by doing, and it's a process-based learning, you know, and Juan Carlos is saying it is a conscious process where the students know what they are going to do and what is expected from them. Thank you very much for sharing. Yeah, now, because of what is task? What is a task then? Because we are talking about task-based language teaching, and then what is a task?
Another question for reflection, anyone else?
An activity, a duty, a responsibility.
Okay, thanks a lot, Roxy. Somebody else? Yeah, Darwin, welcome.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, my friend Ulises from Pereira, Colombia. I believe that a task is a responsibility that I assign to my students in order to look for or to evaluate if they are able or not to get a goal or to reach a goal. In that activity, I got some objectives in it, and the idea basically after checking the task is to realize if they were able or not to get the goal.
Thank you so much, Darwin. Back to you, Ulises.
Okay, thank you.
Ulises, I wanted to say something about
Yes.
the definition of task. Well, I think that task is like a big activity in which a student performs something that is useful for their life. That is, you know, something that is real from the context. That's
Thank you, Juan Carlos. Back to you, Ulises.
Okay, so yes, what I want is highlighting what you're saying, because most of what you're saying is part of what I will talk about. Then, in order not to repeat, I want to highlight it because I know you know about TBLT and how, because you are saying what task is. You're saying, first of all, a task is an activity that demands responsibility from the students, you know, and just to realize if students are getting or not the goal. And Juan Carlos has mentioned, like, it is a big activity that has to be contextualized and real, especially to the student's life. Yes, excellent. That's how we define a task, something that is demanding a lot of responsibility from the students, and also something that is making teacher realize if the students are getting what it is expected to be learned. Okay, dear friend, let's continue with this discussion. So, talking about task, you're saying it's a big responsibility, it is an activity. What are the main features of a task? What I have to consider when I am planning a task-based lesson, you know, what I have to pay attention to.
Anybody?
I think always we need to consider students, what they need to learn or what's something that they would like to learn, like a skill and the skill connected to a goal, like how to communicate. For example, if they're adults on the college level, how will they be able to communicate with the new guests that are arriving in the hotel? That's something very specific.
Thanks, Irma. Anyone else?
I think probably also we need to be careful about the level of the task. No, it has to be challenging enough, but not that hard that the student wouldn't be able to work on that. No, based on what Irma said, it has to be focused on the student's needs and interests, but also adequate to the age, adequate to the level, and also to what they are going to go through.
what Roxy's saying, to add to that, is so they don't become discouraged and disengaged if it's that difficult. And it's relevant and meaningful to them, that they will engage because it is useful to them.
Exactly.
Thank you, Roxy and Raj. Ulises?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, you are in agreement with all what I will talk later. And it is, first of all, students are not far from the learning and teaching process. Students are active participant of what the teacher is doing. You know, that's why when I was starting and saying teaching and learning should be a democratic process in which students are active participants of what the class is about. And secondly, we cannot not overestimate students, like saying, oh, they don't know this. And then we need to pay attention to what their skills are. And another thing you were mentioning is tasks should be real. The ones you were saying, how should I answer a call? How should I call and book a room? And that's very nice. And another thing I was like paying attention to what you were mentioning now is students' needs and student interest. We teachers cannot say that, well, this is the song a student would like, without knowing if that's the song they actually like, or the type of music they actually like. So we need to know who our students are. And obviously, as a part of knowing that, we need to identify the level of our students, what their needs are, in terms of what they lack and what they really know, in order not to repeat what they know, and in order just to say it's not the correct way to say it, in order to fulfill the gap, that they got, which is the most important, because when we are teaching, we are not complaining about what the gaps of our students are, but also we are concerned about how we can help the students overcome their concern or their problems or difficulties. I would say that, but very nice. Okay, I got two or a couple of questions more about, yes, I will highlight all that you have mentioned now. You're saying, okay, TBLT is when we have a learning goal, it's an activity, it is an inductive way of teaching, is teaching by learning or learning by doing, it is discovering, it is a process-oriented activity, and then you went to, so we need to reach a goal, we need to identify what the student interests are, and also the tasks should be communicated. Then, based on all you have mentioned, because it was not me, I was just copy and reading. What do you think are the potential benefits of TBLT for a class? Let's say any of the course you're leading now, but not only what the potentials are, but also let us share some ideas about what the challenges would be.
Okay, anyone who wants to speak?
Challenges?
Yes.
Okay, so probably one of the challenges would be how to match the activity and the goal with what you think your students need. Because we always want to succeed, and we want to do something that is going to help our students. And that means that one of the challenges will be how to be careful to create and develop the activity so that the students will learn by doing, learn for their own benefit, for their own lives, and the most important thing, that they will never forget it, even though they have done this or they did this activity like 10 years ago.
Thank you, Irma. Somebody else?
Yes, I think that one of the benefit or potential use of using TBLT is that increase student motivation, because you know, students are engaged in activities that are relevant, significant for their needs.
Yeah, thank you, Juan Carlos. Where are you from, Juan Carlos? Just
From Colombia.
Welcome, Juan Carlos. Maria Teresa in Colombia. Sorry, in Bolivia.
Thank you. I always try to relate these two words, challenge and engagement, because when you provide a kind of task to students, it's a challenge for them, right? And they have to become engaged on the activity. And therefore, we're going to have some potential benefits depending on the way you provide, the motivation you give, and how you ask them to perform on different kinds of activities. And that's important to see what is the outcome, what are the results, and what was the purpose of providing or assigning a specific task.
Exactly. So I'm not surprised because I know the kind of professional you are, and you are almost covering all what we are going to discuss here now. You know, you're saying we need, you say, for example, it matches a student's needs and interests is a challenge because one is what we believe and another is what is happening in the classroom, you know, because we're saying, okay, this is my best lesson plan. But as soon as you are in the class, you realize that you plan for you and not for your students. You know, you were not taking that into account when you were planning. And another thing you were mentioning is empower a student motivation. Yes, indeed. Why? Because this is almost a learner-centered approach. You know, students got main role in the class, and the teacher is a director of the best band, Jaime and Kahima likes, for example. You know, and another thing is something that is to me is new to me because you're mentioning that you just have like a relationship between the engagement and the challenges of students, and then you match them with the potential benefits. Yes, it's nice. And another thing you're saying is basically all depends of where you want to take students, you know, the purpose of your tasks and the assignments. And it is not only about TBLT, I would say that's in general, you know, because we are not specific what we expect from the students. It is going to be a little bit difficult for the student to reach it, you know, to have that expected outcome at the end of the class or to solve at the end of the lesson. Okay, nice. I'm happy because I'm learning a lot. And just a simple question, but it's nice. Have you implemented TBLT? If so, how have you implemented? If not, would you like to implement it?
Good question. Anyone who wants to answer it? Or give his or her opinion?
I think, Professor Irma.
I think, okay. Answer to first question is no. I have never used it or apply it or implement it. Number two, yeah, I'm curious about it, and I would like to know how could I match TBLT with the goal of my students. Actually, what I'm teaching right now is college level. So yeah, I'm curious about it.
Thank you, Irma. Yeah, thanks, Irma. Sorry, I interrupted you. Thanks a lot, Irma. So back to you, Ulysses. So we have 50 or maybe 60 minutes to learn about task-based.
Okay, learning. So let me go then. So then it's my question. This question is to me and to everybody, but think about the responses at the end. You know, then why on a Sunday morning here in Colombia is 10:11. I don't know what time is in Canada. And it is why to explore TBLT. Is it real? that it enhances authentic learning opportunities, and it is just blah, 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 that a lot of authors are saying, just, because there are a lot of concerns about this methodology. Let's get started. Then, before we talk about what the potential benefits are, let's have a general overview of what the theoretical perspective of TBLT is and what the authors say, not what the releases say, Okay, the number one, most of them say that the theoretical proof or theoretical, basics of TBLT undergo with Vygotskian sociocultural theory. They talk about collaborative learning. They talk about learning by doing. They talk about input and output hypothesis. But also they say, okay, this is like a mix of communicative language teaching, but it's, let's say, a strong version of that approach. And finally, they say, well, this is a learner-centered approach. Let's realize why they say it is based on Vygotskian sociocultural theory. They say this, Ellis says that this is because all what we teach should be within a context. It couldn't be apart from where we are teaching. Let's imagine you are teaching in a rural area and all what you are teaching is taking advantage of that context and teaching students based on the real social cultural scenarios where they are. Yes, I believe the same. And also because TBLT tends to be a collaborative approach, which means they highlight that some theory or theoretical principle of Vygotskian that says that when a student is working alone and he does not have the capabilities, maybe he works with another, which is, we all know about that theory, which is the theory related to proximal perspective, So from that, they take what they say is collaborative learning. Because when we teach by this approach, we normally use cooperative activities. Normally, it doesn't mean that we cannot work individually, because remember that some of us, like Ellis and others, say that learning is an individual process, but it should be certified in collaborative actions and whatever. Learning by doing, Raj Hill mentions, is because students are taking responsibilities and students assume those responsibilities, as you already mentioned, and they got duties, to fulfill. And that's why they call it learning by doing. Why they say it's a strong version, because they say, Willis especially mentioned this, and they say in the communicative language teaching, the students, well, they got some freedom, but in here, they got more freedom than in the communicative language teaching. And also, he mentions that when we talk about TBLT, the students got like this learning to fulfill real life assignments, better than just fulfilling, for example, the presentation practice and production, where there are more control from the teacher's part. And they say it's a learner center because what he mentioned is it is based on learner needs, but not only because of that, it's because learner has a lot of responsibility, and it is based on what the learner can do better than just the teacher from the classrooms, where the teacher has more power. And here, let's say, it's a complete mix of voices of the classroom, where the students are the central part of the learning process. And what they said about input and output, they say much of what the students can do at the end of the task depend on the input, what the teacher is giving them, in order the student to come out with a real life or a meaningful input, which is how the student interact, negotiate negotiation of meaning, which is something that is related to TBLT. But something we were talking about is clear goals. In order to provide a student with meaningful input, the classes should be, or the assignments should be specific on what the teachers are expecting students to come out at the end of the assignments. That's why they say, in general term, what they say is a meaningful result is related to the input the teacher are giving students in order to come out with that output. That's what they say. Let's say deeply what they believe about TBLT. Basically, there are Latin American authors, and let's say for today, let's say other authors from other regions. And the number one, let's review what Prabhu says. He says, okay, TBLT focuses on meaning rather than grammar. But grammar is learned unconsciously. What one of the participants here mentioned is grammar is learned inductively. Means so we are not teaching grammar specifically. However, students are learning the structures without giving an emphasis on what the grammar icon is. Willie suggests that TBLT introduces authentic learning situations, what Juan Carlos was mentioning as a real life situations in which the students are going to experience situations or scenarios what they can have in their real life. Let's say buy a bus ticket, let's say booking a hotel room. Those kind of activities are really connected to what the students are experiencing in their own life. Ellis says that TBLT connects the classroom with the outside world. It means there is a connection between what the students are learning in the class with what they are expected to do outside the classroom. So the classroom is connected to the society, is connected to the students' life and what the students are doing in their common life or real life. About this, Noonan suggested that TBLT develops language competence by engaging students in interrational daily life assignments. So in a summary, I would say that TBLT offers alternative to enhance not only language skills, but also enhancing interaction, collaboration, and offers a connection between what the students are doing in their daily life and what the students are learning in the class. In some of my studies, I mentioned that TBLT encourages communication, develops what Juan Carlos was saying, awareness about learning process, because the students need to be aware of what they need to learn and how they will need to learn it, which is very important now. In another, I mentioned that TBLT integrates language skills by not isolating one of them. When we are using TBLT, all the language skills are integrated, but the matter is we emphasize on one or two in one class, in one activity, and in another activity you emphasize the remaining. Another reason here is it is a contextualized language learning process where students' culture and social interaction is enhanced. Zavala Dierheimer is from University. He developed a thesis about TBLT, and he says that it offers students with language opportunities by completing outcome-based assignments, which is, you say, for example, at the end of these tasks, you would be able to buy a round ticket at a local, let's say, company, let's say Avianca or whatever. And then a student know at the beginning where you are taking them in order to say that language teaching and learning with this approach is specific on what we expect from the teachers. My dear friends from Ecuador, I have Pazmiño as well, who was writing a thesis on TBLT, and he mentioned something I am in agreement with. And also he based his position on Paul Freire, and he says, TBLT is a revolutionary approach, the language teaching and learning that provides innovative strategy to content learning by focusing on student-centered and group-oriented classrooms. So what I mentioned here, and I am in agreement with him, is because when we are teaching through TBLT, all the voices are heard and all the participations are highlighted, and we praise what the students are doing in the class, because we know that teaching and learning process is a mix of voices and all the positions and ideas are important. Chacon, who is a friend from Venezuela, he mentions that TBLT enhances actually reflection and self-governance, which means that the students are becoming autonomous by manipulating the language, by having responsibilities, by developing activities that are related to their daily life, and also by participating, by negotiating, and speaking to their classmates and speaking the language as natural as possible. Well, based on that, we can find 5 main versions of TBLT. Some, for example, the one from Willis, he says that TBLT focus on fostering natural language use, because students they are connected to what they do in their daily life. Lone says the same, they share that position, but when they talk about the type of tasks, Willis suggests that real-world production tasks are the ones that we teachers need to ask our students to develop. That position is shared with Lum, but as Kehan said something different. He said, no, it's not only about real-world assignments, it has to be also pedagogic. He says, because before students produce something, he needs to master certain language items. Ellis says both real world and also instructional tasks are important. When they talk about the linguistic focus, Willie says it's primarily unfocused tasks. You know, it is not taught directly, but other authors, the rest of them, like Longs, Kehan, and Ellis, says that it could be focused on linguistic items, you know, but teaching that inductively, not specifically going and just work on grammar. And the linguistic supports, yes, we need to provide, says Willis. Lam says, no, teachers, you don't need to provide that. Alice says, yes, it's a possibility, because if you realize, for example, that the students are saying, my name is, you can highlight, for example, the pronunciation and say, oh, remember the pronunciation is not that way. Or maybe if you are listening to your students say, we is from Colombia, and then you need to go and say, hey, remember that that's not the way to do it. I personally believe that is necessary. Okay, now I'll focus on form. Most of them say in the pre-tax, and Ellie says, no, all the phases should be focused on form. It means teacher should highlight it. Learner-centered class, most of them agree, but Ellie says not necessarily, because a student just can have both roles, passive and active. Rejection of traditional approaches. Most of them say yes, but Ellie says not necessarily, because sometimes you need to use other approaches to complement the way of teaching. It is not necessarily wrong. Okay. So What is a tax then? The ones we were discussing, there are a lot of definitions, I will highlight some of them. For example, Ellie says, a tax is an activity that is focused on meaning and message making, and something here is very specific. A gap or actions is needed to be solved. A gap, not only to master language, but a gap. For example, when we are asking students to buy a flight ticket, there is a gap, and that's why Professor Raj Hill mentioned it's a learning by doing process, and another attendee, I don't remember his name now, says it's a discovering process. Why is a discovering process? Because there is a gap. Students need to discover how to buy a ticket. And you know what? By doing that, they are not only learning English, but also they are learning how to solve problems, and which is also meaningful. Noonan suggested that okay, he says that the attacks explore different ways of teaching and enrich, for example, EFL literature and broaden the analysis. But what he mentioned really is that attacks is giving possibilities for the students to broaden their capabilities in language learning. According to law, he says, okay, a tax is a goal-oriented activity as the one we are saying. It should be the goal, and the goal should be based on interaction, practice, and production. The students are interacting in the classroom, they are talking, they are practicing how, for example, they take a bus from Medellin to Bogota, and at the end, they come out with that production and say, hey, teacher, look, in order to go to Bogota from Medellin, if you are traveling by bus, first of all, you need to go to the terminal, and then you buy the ticket in this company, and the trip is 12 hours, and wherever you first go to this place and others. Gutierrez says, for example, when talking about tax, he says, well, a tax is something that have a communicative purpose, and the most important is to have a student interacting in the class. My position about tax is clear. The tax is all what we have been saying here, is giving a student the possibility to discover by their own how to face a particular communicative scenarios or situations in life. For example, if they need to attend a conference and they haven't registered yet, and then I'm going to tell them, so you are going to participate in Jaime and Tajima's conference. How you do it? There is a gap there, better than just an English or a language competence to refer to a particular language situation. Then, what type of tax we have here? We got the ones that I mentioned is a pedagogical one, a problem solving, real world, gap, feeling, focus, third generation. What is a pedagogical one? A pedagogical one, according to Nuna, is an opportunity to rehearsal a particular language item a student need before they perform a real task. So, for example, if you are asking students to have an oral presentation, so you practice the structure, you practice the beginning, you practice how they respond to attendees and much more. Problem solving, he says, for example, here, it is to identify, prioritize, and select alternatives for a solution and provide always a solution. For example, here you can say, okay, there is a climate change problem all over the world. Imagine you are a mayor of a big town or a big city. What proposal would you launch in order to confront that problem? And then students are finding ways to provide different solutions. When we talk about real life, is our tasks that are related or connected to what a student do in the regular life. And when we talk about a gap, for example, you are asking a student to fulfill a format that needs to be completed with information, or maybe they are exchanging opinions and share that information, and then you ask a student to do it. When it's focus tags, and here is the problem we have in this approach, because it is allowing all, and then a student, the ones who decides what to do is the teacher, and most of the teachers try to, yes, I'm using TBLT, but I'm using focus tags, because they master a specific language item. Let's say, for example, you ask a student to, the students of English 1, you want them to have a, let's say, meeting new people. And then you are asking them, for example, you are teaching them the verb to be, some adjectives to describe themselves and more. Here is where I am now. And what Rive and Vidal say is tax needs to go beyond English learning. English learning is the vehicle to solve problems, not the last result of what we actually want to do. And I am in agreement with them, because English should be the way we find to solve or to find our alternative and try to solve problems. Okay, now, yes.
A question. Listening to your wonderful presentation, I was thinking that this pandemic, this COVID time, and these problems many people are having all over the world, it's a great opportunity not only to practice English, to learn English, but as you say, to find solutions to many real, authentic problems in the different schools, communities, towns, cities, and countries. So this will help us a lot if we implement and do a project like this, right?
Exactly. Okay, so because, well, I am not saying this is the only one, because this is related to project-based learning, but the matter is project-based learning was not designed for teaching languages. TBLT, yes, it was designed for teaching and learning. There are other definitions and other way of having different tasks, which is listing. We can have brainstorming, fact finding, games, and whatever. Ordering, we can ask a student to follow a sequence of what we want them to do, or maybe we can ask a student to compare this is related to what Jaime and Kahima was saying. How was our life before COVID-19? And how is our life now? Students can come out with some definition, maybe if some member of the family pass away, or maybe you can ask them to have problem-solving assignments. You say, okay, according to what is happening, how we should be get ready for next pandemics, or how we can get ready to overcome this problem that is affecting everybody. And then there are many. So now we will have just a summary of all. Those are my suggestions. They are not tags. They are just some example you can follow just if you want. Just if you want. If you don't, it doesn't mean that what you are doing is not good. It means that you got a lot of alternatives. Those are alternatives. For example, in defining tasks, you can have projects, you can have surveys, questionnaire, interviews, or an observation, problem solving, and decision making. For example, in the social interaction assignments, you can have discussions, you can have interviews, you can have talks, you can have role plays, you can also have dramas or filming series, TV sessions, and more. You can have social interaction, or you can also start clubs in the classroom, the club about culture, the club about, facing the pandemic problems and sorting out. You can have inquiry, you can have case study assignments, you can have movie making, creative assignments in which teachers are not expecting any specific result, but students can come out with any of the result they think is necessary. Also, we can talk about reflecting, saying, so after you write this paper, I am not going to evaluate it. Someone who is your peer is gonna do it. And we need to do that because that's not very common in the class, because normally all what our students are doing is the teacher who is evaluating that, but we don't got another profession or maybe two I don't know, self-assessment, which is necessary in order to realize what my process is and how I have that in my mind, how I can have better result, and self-review. So those are just example I have. And now we will have an activity. Before we have an activity, and the activity is just to realize if this is a task or not. I will send the link to you if is the code is not working, you know. Let me do it here. Just try the code, just if the code is working, and then you can just double check if this is a task or not a task. Yes, you can try the code. It's an activity we have, dear Jaime. I'm gonna send the link because maybe, I don't know.
Please send it through the chat.
Yes,
please.
I will, sure. Give me a second.
Yeah, that's okay. We still
Meanwhile, if we have questions, I can answer them if it's possible in order to continue, because this is technology.
Yeah, don't worry. I have a question. If we can have the PowerPoint or the links of all the info that you are presenting.
Yeah, I have no problem. I can share it.
Thanks a lot, Ulises. Anybody has a question or a comment to make?
A request, maybe he can share the QR. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Beatriz in Bolivia. Good morning.
How you doing, my friend?
Very good. Congratulations, Beatriz, for the great doing you're doing all over Latin America.
Thank you so much. You're so generous. Thank you.
Yeah, second, I don't know, but it was working well till I presented, and now it is not working in the way I planned it. Okay.
I told you, Ulises, it always happens with the best guest speakers.
Don't
worry.
Okay, so give me a second. I will share the link because I was trying the code, and it is not working now.
No, it's not working.
Yeah, I was checking it, and it is not working now. I will share the link.
If you could please share the link in the chat, maybe that will open. I'll try it.
I'm doing it. Give me a second. Meanwhile, I want to talk to you about what we are going to do. Oh my goodness. I don't know why it is happening now.
Because technology is not perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a fact. Technology is not perfect. Yes, I have the link here, so we can try.
We still got 25 more minutes, Ulises. Don't worry.
Okay. Yes.
Well, we want to thank, meanwhile, the presence of Valeria Molina, Stephanie, Roxy, Raj, Rafael Cordova, Neil Arevalo.
There you got the link, please.
Okay, you found it. Yes. Maria Teresa, Marco Antonio, Maribel Estrada, Catherine Chaverra, Carolina Villada, Juan Carlos Pereira, José Lobos, hello in Colombia, Javier Enrique, Jackson Agualimpia, Isabel Zuleta, and Irma Guzmán, Ariana Quiliche Vargas, okay, Cynthia, Consuelo, and Beatriz in Bolivia, and of course, Ulises in Colombia.
Okay, I already shared the link. The link is just to have a discussion about if you think those are tasks or are just simply exercises. Yes, please. I already shared.
Okay. So it's a survey.
Yeah, it's a kind of survey, yes.
Okay.
Yes, it's already. I will share it here as well.
Aha.
Yes.
So I don't want to fail it.
Yes.
I feel like a student every time there is a survey or questions.
Yes.
And that's good, Ulysses, to feel as a student, because that reminds us the way they feel when we give them something easy to do.
Okay. I don't know if it's already done. In order to start discussing, I would like to discuss the number one. So describe your most recent vacation experience to a classmate. Is there an assignment or is it a task or an exercise? The number one, describe your most recent vacation experience to a classmate.
So the question is it a task or not?
Yes, what do you believe?
May I?
Yeah, please,
Yes.
go.
Yes, I think so. The first one is a task, and I think most of them, because as you said before, students have to, we have to see the outcome, and most of them are showing that the students are doing something. They are getting the goal, especially with the language, right?
Okay.
For me,
yeah.
most of them are really well, their tasks. Okay.
Thank you, Consuelo Aurora. Where are you from, Consuelo Aurora?
I'm from Lima.
Welcome, dear Consuelo. Jose Lobo in Colombia, I guess you have a question, Jose Lobo?
Yes, I have a question. Are you guys listening to me?
Yes, we are.
All right then. Ulysses, it's good to hear your voice again from so far away, but my question has to do with emotion. What is the role of emotion in task-based learning? Never did I hear that word, in your descriptions or in, there's a gentleman, his name is Riley, and he talks about emotion, but what is the role of emotion, positive and pleasant emotions in task-based learning?
Thank you, Jose.
That's my question.
Okay, I don't know if we can go over that question. Dear Jose Lobo, I appreciate your nice question, and I want to see you one day, because you have helped me a lot. Well, I'm going to be honest to you. None of the studies I have read, they talk about emotions. None of the studies I have read about TBLT talk about emotions. However, I know that emotions are an amazing or a fundamental part of learning. That's why when we are talking or we are, designing the task or we are doing the task, we need to praise what our students do. And I would say it is related to emotions, or it is emotionally safe to do it, because what we do in assignment or tasks should be related to what the students need and their interest. From that point, I would say emotions have a very important place when we are planning our assignments. Although no studies have been conducted directly to refer to what the role of emotions are in TBLT. This is just basically my position. Now what the authors mentioned related to emotion, Dr. Lobo.
Thank you so much, Ulysses. Was your question answered, Jose?
Thank you. Yeah, there's not many studies about that. And then probably you can look into that, Ulysses, in the future from a Latin American perspective. from a Latin American perspective.
And you can also do that, Jose Lobo, in your presentation, in your coming presentation.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Thank you, thank you, Jose Lobo. Okay, just a reminder, Ulises, we got 20 more minutes. Go, Raj, deal.
Yeah, I just would add to the emotional, the role of emotions in learning. I think emotional safety or emotional engagement is an important component for learning. Is that if a student is not feeling comfortable or safe in an environment to learn, that will impact their learning.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, remember that
this COVID and all of the stuff that is going on right now, if I continue to teach content without actually engaging with the student to see what is actually going on in their life, it may not be very helpful for that student's learning or my ability to communicate the information.
I guess, Raj and Ulises, is happening the same thing here with us. We are learning and we feel emotion or not, or we feel that way or this way while you are explaining everything.
Yeah, it is absolutely. Remember that Jeremy Harmer says that teaching, learning is inspiring others, you know. So the number one is absolutely an activity, but it's not a task because it's happening, it has a result, but the result is in the class. Okay, remember you talk to a classmate. And in the real life, you are not only talking to a classmate, you are talking to different people, you know? So, and the second one is describing someone's typical daily life. It would be considered a task, you know, but well, it is mostly related to present perfect, present simple present. Okay, so we don't normally talk about it, but the second one is a task. Okay, because we are not specifying to whom we will talk or we are gonna do in the classroom. That we can do that. We can do that in our daily life. So all what else in a classroom is not a task, it's an activity, you know. So for example, here, book a table in a restaurant for a family lunch. Yes, it's a task, you know, because the result is out of the classroom. The result does not end in a class. That's what is matching students' daily life. Remember that Carlos mentioned, was a couple of minutes ago, he needs to be meaningful, but it also has to relate to daily life situations students are facing. You know? For example, correct a public service complaint letter where it happens, outside the classroom or inside the classroom. You are asking a student to correct a letter in a classroom, yes? So we correct the letter in a classroom. So it is an activity, but not a legal task, you know? Here, fill out an insurance form. It's a task. Why is it a task? Because it is related to something students experience in their regular life, especially here in Colombia, that you gotta pay your EPS as many jobs you have, you need to pay the amount of EPS insurance forms. So this is very important to have in mind. Write a job letter or a study report. Yes, why? Because normally we are writing a job letter in order to apply to a job position. That's what I would say. I don't know if we have some comments related to what I already mentioned, because we have 19 minutes. Well, I would like to, yes.
I have a question.
Yes.
Hi, it's Michaela from Peru.
Michaela, nice to hear your voice.
I write down that a task is an activity, and now you say that if it's a task, and then you say it's not an activity. So some things are activity and some things are task. What is exactly the difference between them?
Well, I will tell you, a task has different activities, but the main result or the task, as Juan Carlos mentioned, is something B that is full of activities. For example, you wanted your students to buy a round ticket, yes? That's the tax, you know? So at the end of this month, you will be able to buy a round ticket. And then in the activity number 1, you say, for example, today it is reducing, let's say the 4 operations, you know, you are working on a student how to sum up, a student how to make divisions, students how to calculate the amount of money they will invest in the tree and whatever. That's an activity that will help students to fulfill the performance task, you know. So my definition here about what a task is something B a student would do at the end of some activities, you know. For example, an activity is something that is preparing students to fulfill the task, you know. But an activity, a single class activity, shouldn't be a task, you know. For example, let's say talking about the daily routine in the classroom shouldn't be the task, you know. So if you say, for example, you are invited to participate in an international convention where they are asking people to let them know what they do in their daily life, as a task. Okay, so I don't know if I answer your question. So, for example, if you
yes, Ulises, thank you very much.
If you look at
thank you, Micaela.
If you look at the definition of NUNA 1998, you will realize, you will open up a little bit more about what a tax is. For example, a tax is something that students are involved in manipulating, interacting, and they come to a result that is not done simply in a classroom. Okay, so I highly recommend you to go and see NUNA 1998. Is giving you a lot of insights about what a tax is. Okay, dear friend, we have here, for example, technology again. You know, so what we are taking about a tax, something to specify how we realize it's a tax is because of this. For example, number 1, you check about the content, you know, what you expect your student to learn, but also what you expect to teach your students. Secondly, the type of material you use. You are not going to talk about pedagogical materials. You talk about materials that we say in English are related to what they do in the daily life, means they are original. Original in the sense that they are not designed for pedagogical purposes. Activities, you know what I was saying, the thing that learner and teacher will do during a lessons, you know, so they are doing during a lessons, but the goal, the general aims for the task. So what is the general aim for those activities? You know, so activity number 1, activity number 2, what activities you need students to develop in order to come out with that result. And secondly, what we have been talking about, students, their abilities, needs, interests, what their interests are. And finally, what is the social community? How you will be having students working in the class. And another thing related is what I was mentioning here. I would like, later on, I would like to share you some potential, I'm gonna show you later on a sample related to what a tax is. Let me share it with you. How much time I have, dear professor?
My dear guest speaker, you still got 10 to 15 minutes.
Okay, let me do this way because this is important, and then we go back. So in order to have it. Okay, so this is what we need to do. Okay, how to implement TBLT. First of all, I have planning. You know, if you look at the studies about TBLT, they just tell you about pre, while, and post. But I think it's not only that. I think there is something before you implement TBLT. And the number one I say is planning. Why you plan? You plan just the language goal. It means where you want your student to be at the end of the class. Then you identify the language skills necessary to meet that goal. For example, if you are asking a student to have an oral presentation, what do you expect your student to learn how to give oral presentations? So for example, you say, so I'm going to teach my students how to answer questions, what to say when someone is asking questions. Then you need to focus on a specific language items necessary to complete the task. Let's say, for example, the students will talk about vacation, and then they will talk about the past simple or the simple past, and then you need to teach students about regular and irregular verbs, because they need to know that. The type of instruction you are giving them, so that's also necessary. The timeline, how much time a student have to complete the task, the outcomes you expect. Is an oral presentation, is a diary, is a survey, the types of activities you want students to develop, and also how you sequence and assess what the students are doing. Then you search for information, you choose the correct series of materials that will be the input. Remember, input is important. If a student will come out with a video, then you show how to film videos. And also you show, if it's a presentation, you show students videos about presentation. Identify the materials to meet that goal. Focus on the specific materials necessary to complete the task. After you do that, you check what you said. If the goal of what you are planning foster real communication opportunities, means that real communication opportunities oversees the classroom. It goes to real scenarios, not only in the classroom. You check the focus of the task is not grammar. Oh, I'm focusing on grammar, and wow, good. Remember that professor mentioned that grammar should be learned inductively, not deductively. The timeline, is this appropriate for my students? The 10 hours or 2 hours, is it correct for them to do it with that amount of time? The task itself, just to adjust what Professor Rathill mentioned, according to what my students' level is, is it matching the level of students? That's called task complexity, according to what my level is, so I plan the tasks or assignments. The type of activities to make sure the students develop the tasks and help them come out with the corresponding outcome. And then you assessing procedure. You're using, okay, so I will evaluate these students by self-evaluation and by using a rubric, or what you will do to evaluate. What Juan Carlos mentioned is, no, Juan Carlos was not the ones who mentioned. Someone mentioned is just to read. Darwin was the ones that mentioned that, to realize if students are learning or not. Finally, you present your plan to your students, and then you negotiate with them. You let them know what you expect from them from the beginning. Show a student what they need to do in the pre, while, and post phases. Negotiate with the students about the timeline, criteria, final result, and all you can negotiate with them. Show a student you're there for them in case they might need some help. This is something related to what Professor Lobo was mentioning, the emotion sense of the activities or assignments. Okay, after you do that, after you got your plan and you have talked to the students, then you go to the classroom. This is what most of the studies show. They say, oh, implementing TBLT is pre, while, and post. But they never talk about planning, they never talk about searching, they never talk about checking, they never talk about presenting. They never talk about it. They just say, that's why there is a misconception that implementing TBLT is just having the pre, while, and post session. I wouldn't believe that. Before that, there is a session that is called the planning, and the planning is fundamental. So what we do there, when we have the assignments, we got the activities, we got the main tasks and all. So what we do is we plan 3 phases. I have added a new one, which is the follow-up, because to me, that's fundamental. What we do in the pre-task, we introduce the students to what we expect, the task. We engage them, so saying, okay, what's your perception about this? If you want, you renegotiate. So remember, this is to be submitted at the end of the month. So then you show examples of what you expect the student to come out, which is the input. And you talk about the requirements, that the students need to fulfill what you expect from them. What happened then? The students start working, but the teacher is not at home while the students are working in the classroom. Now, the teacher is there, helping, organizing, directing, and saying, well, you're doing well here. Remember, you need to modify this. I'm here just in case you may need me. So what the students do, they plan, search for information, they explore, negotiate, interact, compare, self-evaluate, they make decisions, they complete the assignments, and they receive recommendations from the teacher. And they get ready to come out with an output. You remember at the beginning, you give them the input, and here they are ready to come out with the output, because that's why they have been doing that. Then what happened in the post phase? You just personalize learning, saying, okay, Pepito Perez, you were doing well in the presentation. However, you need to pay attention to the regular verbs, because you were giving me a stop with T, but remember, this is a regular verb, and you just put a T. You reassign activities for the students who are not doing well. You say, Margarito, come here. So you were not presenting this topic in the way, so you need to do this extra exercise. And then, but you don't say, okay, Margarito, take your assignment home and do your best. God bless you. No, you verify if Margarito is learning or not, and then by communicating with them, or with him, or with your students, So then that's the end. Why I have added another one, which is here. Okay, so I have added the follow-up for many reasons. The number one, because I don't know what happened in your countries, but here in Colombia, students are now 100% autonomous. They need someone to verify that what you assign them is being done. And how you do that? By communicating with them, by asking them, hey, how are you doing? And by asking them to have more example of what they were not doing well at the very beginning. That's why I think that's how you implement TBLT. Well, what happened after this? Okay, I have here an example of how we plan a TBLT lesson plan. A TBLT lesson plan, I'm gonna share it with you now, just in case that I can send it to you as well. If you really want to have it, I can send it to you.
Please send all the info, all the links, send yourself.
Yeah, I will send it to all of you in order you to have more like, well, just to say, okay, I like this way of working. I would like to have it or not. I will share it here with you, the link, so you can just have a look at them for a couple of minutes. But again, technology is the big problem today.
Don't worry, Ulises. I told you, it happens just to the best guest speakers.
I don't think I am one of them. I am just a member of.
Believe my words, Ulises.
Yeah, I got it. Yes, I will share it with you now, so you can have a like. I don't know why it's not pasted. Wow. Technology is killing the presentation. I don't know what happened.
So maybe you can send it to me and then I will send it to the group and to people who ask for it. Yeah, because we just got 3 more minutes, my dear Ulises.
Okay, yes. There you are. You
finally.
Yes, just finally you got it there. You guys, yeah, just have a look at them just for a couple of minutes, I would say. Just 1 minute, have a look at them and I will share as well. Yeah, because, you know, sometimes it's like saying, well, yes, if you can, just if you want, you can ask me question related to why I put it that way there or why I did it that way. Have it here.
Okay.
I think the folder or the file that you're trying to share has a restrictive permission. If you make it public, then we are going to be able to access it.
Okay, so I'm gonna make it public then.
Thank you, dear Beatriz.
Okay, so finally, what I say is some potential benefits. What are the potential benefits of TBLT then? Based on what we have been saying, it is, to me, there are potential benefits for the teaching, for also for learning, and for research as well. For example, Professor Lobo was giving us like a possibility, you know. Here I have just to come up to an end is, what effects do you think TBLT has on teaching? How is learning considered under TBLT? What is offering to learning? What are the teaching roles? And I would say, you hearing me, Professor?
Yes, we are all ears, my dear Ulises.
And you are watching my presentations as well.
Watching, listening, following you, everything.
So to me, in the teaching part, the result or the effects are, first of all, teaching is more flexible, more flexibility, you know, so it is enhancing oral interaction, is integral, is not taking a student just because of the academic competence they acquire, but also is taking them as a human being, not as a, you know, someone who has to learn a language. No, it goes beyond the classroom. Also, it is making teaching more collaborative practice in which the students have an active voice and the teachers is another participant in the class. It is contextualizing learning in the sense that it's not asking a student to just write isolated sentences that are not related to a particular scenario in a regular life of students. Another thing is personalizing learning. Why personalizing learning is based on student needs, interests, and also it is based on student social cultural context where they are called to have different, communication situations as well. And another thing is it has a basic cycle. It starts by pre, during, and post activities in which the teachers are asking students to develop particular activities, to come out with a final practical assignment. And to me, the most important about TBLT in teaching is that it's a completely mix of voices and it's enhancing classroom innovation and thus also enhancing creativity in the classroom in order to learn a language. And what we expect in the learning part, it is said that learning, it is a mutual engagement process in which students are having oral interaction almost every time. And also that I have taken from Vygotsky's principle, it is that it is a collective effort, for learning. Students are playing active roles, and one of the areas which is was mentioned by Juan is students self-evaluate their own work. How they do that? It could be the teacher who is giving them a rubric, or maybe you're asking questions for them to reflect. The classroom is more interactive because it's not only based on what the teacher talking every time, but listen to the students, and students are co-creator of their own learning process. It means that they participate, that they are involved, that they engage in the learning process, and they feel the necessity to do it. Because if they don't do it, they will feel like, wow, my voice is not listened in the classroom. My voice have to be listened because of I need to negotiate, I need to be heard. That's very important. What happened in the research area, which is something that Professor Lobo mentioned now, that I have taken some copy of that because it's an interesting area, which is enhancing pedagogical reflection from the teacher's part. And it is also broadening the analysis about teaching and learning, enriching what? The EFL literature, okay? So by exploring different alternatives. And finally, I would say it is a completely world of possibilities. For example, what Lobo was mentioning, why don't we analyze the role of emotions in TBLT or in the development of the assignments or in the development of the activities which are part of a task. And what happened in the teacher's role? The class is not teacher's frontier. Rather, it is a learner-centered, but as I already mentioned, it's a democratic process in which participation is highlighted as a benefit, not only for the students, but also for the teachers who are learning from the students. While we are teaching, we are also learning. For example, today I am learning from you, your positions about TBLT, your new topics like Jose Lobo mentioned, and all of you that were saying. So when we use TBLT, the process tends to be more autonomous than fronted by the teachers. I would say those are the benefits. I don't know, Professor Ankahima, sorry, I always mispronounce your last name. So I don't know.
Just call me Jaime, Ulises, come on.
Yes. Then I have more potential benefits, but because of the time.
Yeah, because of the time, my dear Ulises.
Yeah, so because, yes, I don't know.
Could you show us your email and your WhatsApp again, just in case some of us want to contact you, visit you, write to you, call you, text you, or whatever you?
Yeah, just give me a couple of minutes, please. Because I want to mention this because yes, I know sometimes we plan something, and because of the time and all, but one of the areas we need to consider when we are using TBLT, it demands a lot of creativity from the teacher part. The teachers are the main creator of the assignments or the activities and the final tasks. And another thing is, it needs a lot of adaptability, because we're saying, okay, how should I lose my power in the classroom? I have always thought that way. And now the students are talking and I am just giving recommendations. I want to have my power. No, this is a flexible pedagogical creed we have here today. Another thing, from the students' part, it is demanding a lot of responsibilities from the students. And at the very beginning, that's not easy, because most of our Latin American students tend to have less powerful voices in the classroom. And decision making, students are learning how to make their own decisions to learn. For example, when I am assigning my students to buy a round ticket, they need to make decisions where they will buy the tickets. And that's not easy from our students, because our students are now 100% autonomous. Another thing is the negotiation. Students need to learn how to negotiate. And obviously, related to the materials, it demands a lot of authentic materials, because it's not using non-authentic materials that are designed for the pedagogical purposes. And at the end, I will say, practical implications as well. At the very beginning, it's not going to be easy. And as you already mentioned, matching student interest level contest is complex. It's not that easy. Just start today. It requires time, preparation, and I would say the outcome would be nice for all of us. And yes, absolutely. I will share with you my mail and all the info I just shared at the beginning, because I would be nice talking to you related to TBLT, and it would be my pleasure if I can help. I'm sorry, because technology is killing everybody, not only here in Colombia, but all over the world. I have seen a lot of cases. Meanwhile, we can have the questions, Professor Jaime. So
we just want to express our gratitude, Ulysses. Unfortunately, we're running out of time. Some of us have to cook, like myself, or do the washing now. Yes. But we was just to express our gratitude. But for those who don't know, who didn't know Ulysses, I met him just like 10 years ago, and I'm really surprised and proud of being your friend because of the great achievements you've got. And as I said at the beginning, I feel just like a little tiny small teacher listening to you and watching everything that you've done now. So thank you so much, Ulysses. I would like just two people to express his or her gratitude to Ulysses Cordova from Colombia, please.
Thank you to Mr. Ulysses. He's a very good professional, my friend. I am also proud of being your friend, my friend Ulysses. Excellent presentation. Many things that we learned today that are going to be very useful for our daily work in the school. And I am really grateful for this invitation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Darwin. And I'm sure that Ulysses will be back, but this time with a practical presentation of what or how he does this in a classroom. Somebody else, please, who wants to express his or her gratitude?
Yes, good morning. My name is Isabel Cristina Zuleta. I'm currently working with Mr. Ulises Cordova, and I really want to thank you very much because of this presentation, for inviting me and having the opportunity to learn about our space today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, dear Isabel Zuleta. Ulises, if you stop sharing your screen for your final words, please.
Yes. Well, I want to thank you for listening to me. It was my pleasure you having me here. I know there are a lot of areas that are like on earth now, but the idea was not to fill out a gap. The idea was just to give you the possibility to think about another methodology we have, and we can just integrate it to our teaching model at the universities or the high schools you're teaching now. And it is it's been a great possibility just to do that. And so to me, I was fulfilling my aim that was to know more people. And thank you very much for having me, dear Jaime.
No, thank you one more time, Ulises, and I'm sure that you will be back with us for a practical presentation where you show us how you do this TBL task, etc., and teaching and learning in your classes. Will you?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you so much, and thank you everyone in Facebook Live and in the Zoom meeting, and I'll see you on September the 12th, right, Irma?
That is correct.
September the 12th, we will have Irma Guzman from Ecuador. So thank you everyone. Micaela, María Teresa, Rafael, Jackson, Consuelo, José Lobo, Maribel, Beatriz Erazo en Bolivia, Juan Carlos Pereira, Darwin Perea, Isabel Zuleta, Valeria Molina, Javier Enrique Peláez, Marco Antonio Paricio, Cintia, Ariana Quiliche, Neil Arevalo, Ana María, Carolina, Congregation, and our president, the president of our association, Raj. Thank you so much, Ulises. Goodbye. Have a very nice weekend. Bye-bye. See you in 2 weeks.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.